discipline to think. And I don't know if you guys heard this story about Bill Gates. Whilst he was very young and he was pacing around in the garden, at some point, the mother said, look, what are you doing? Why are you pacing around? And he asked a very simple question. He said, Mom, don't you think? Now, if that guy was being raised in Africa, I can tell you without a doubt that he would have just would have been whipped. Would have been whipped out of it. You're telling your mother, don't you think? That would have been very crazy. Okay. Now, discipline also helps us come up, because when we talk about values, we are setting your values, you are coming up with your values. It's linked on discipline now. And we remember we said values are like the pillars that guide all the things that we do. And it serves as a restraint. In fact, those are the cardinals to help us, setting goals. Then doing requires discipline. That's on day 5, we talked about doing. On day 6, time management. It requires discipline. Imagine showing up every morning. You realize that it ultimately just affects how you achieve results. Okay? If to also rest, you need to be disciplined. Because somehow everything, and that's why when we say people live regimented lives, and I'm sure Colonel Elayo will be able to throw more light on this and further spur us to become more disciplined. Now in this new phase, if you want to be focused also, you need to be disciplined. If you want to, if you want to bet, you must be disciplined. That's to start anything, you must be disciplined. To focus, you must be disciplined. To introduce order, you must be disciplined. To be optimistic, you must be disciplined. You see, once you have commitment, you need the discipline and hard work to get you there. I can't quote this verbatim, but I heard that discipline is what is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Discipline serves as a bridge between your dream and your reality. So what is your dream at this moment? And how do you want to be able to say, look, I have a great life. It comes from where you have self-control. And self-control, remember, everything resides from within. Okay, so discipline is not from external restraints. By the time we start to have external restraints towards being disciplined, then that means that you are not living your best life yet. For instance, imagine when I was a lot younger, and I'll be watching out to see if my mom is seeing me sip a drink. The restraint there was not sufficient to sustain me from taking alcohol. But you can imagine at the time I got to the point where I willed it to myself that, hey, Taiwo, enough is enough. I was geared now to be able to control whether or not. So if you put a bottle, I decide what I want to do with it. That's discipline. So we cannot allow, we can't be driven from externals, and in a bit to achieve any goal. It must be from within. So, and when we start to talk about self-discipline, is the ability to avoid unhealthy excess, okay, of anything that could lead to negative consequences. You yourself know that there are some things that if you do them, it will lead to negative consequences. For instance, your diet. So, and I'm also guilty of this. So there's the last cake, chocolate cake, and you're like, you already know that you don't need to have that chocolate cake because it's already late, even for whatever it is. Your calorie levels, your energy levels will probably pump up because of the sugar. But yet, you go ahead and then you become restless once you're in bed because you're not disciplined. It is the ability to forgo instant gratification. It's discipline that makes the entrepreneur. If I've shared that example of the Chinese bamboo, discipline is tied to resilience. The guy keeps showing up to water his bamboo, all right, and he has to water that bamboo for 5 years, and it will look like nothing is happening. That's discipline, all right? So, when we are disciplined, it also helps us stop ourselves from, when I say when we don't think, we sin. It stops us from sinning because when we sin, we begin to sink, and when we sink, we begin to stink. Discipline means perseverance and not giving up. So you're in a race, you are, charged with the responsibility. What must you do? You must stay true. And those are still the elements. In fact, this discipline for me is the foundation required to build all of these other things. Because if you build all these things without discipline, if you do your affirmation without discipline, it might not be truly effective. Okay, it will be a trial and error. But can you imagine if you are deliberate as to, you are disciplined and deliberate as to your affirmations? You are disciplined and deliberate as to your silent times. You are disciplined and deliberate as to all that you do regarding this journey of reinvention, because reinvention is a continuum. It's not after just only for 21 days. By the time we are even done with this now, that's when your true reinvention will start. Because at that point, you are confronted with the issues around life. And then you will now have to begin to think, because thinking is when you start to apply all that we have learned. When you are confronted with the difficulty, you're saying, now I must take a decision. When you are confronted with the difficulty, I say, now I must think. When you believe that, hey, something wants to challenge your values, now you say, no, I must be disciplined. All right. And so this is what we ought to do. Discipline, discipline is not just about overcoming our weaknesses, but it's also being conscious that we have weaknesses and we must stay clear of those weaknesses. And there's one of the greatest books that I've read. It says, flee from all appearances of evil. So there's also, there are appearances, that hey, there are things that, and where that would probably also be destructive. Okay, there's some challenging scenarios and situations that we will be confronted with. It says flee. All right. So discipline is also the ability to pursue one plan despite temptation to abandon it. So I'm sure a lot of people have come into that situation where they have wanted to give up, and we shared a video yesterday and we said, look, don't quit. As in don't quit. And, don't quit doesn't mean that you shouldn't just quit. It's that you must propose within yourself that you have your eyes on the ball. You have a focus in mind. I think some people are trying to come into the room. Okay, I've just admitted it. You must have your eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball. Remember, you must be present. It's discipline that requires you, or that helps you to remain present where you are without roving around, whilst you are in a meeting. It's discipline. So are we committing to be disciplined? And today, I'm sure Colonel Elio would give us great insights, okay, on how we must, do certain things. And so I don't want to over-label this word discipline, but there are several things that discipline can help us with, and I've tried to explain it, just as I was making reference to all the things I've said. But it will be easier for you to strengthen your discipline if you understand the importance of your life. It also still boils down to, do you have an understanding of your life, of your purpose? All right. And so in case we have anybody here that is still having conflicting, thoughts as to even what am I doing here on earth? It would be nice if you can also send me a DM and let's even walk through that process. Okay. It's such that you become aware of your undisciplined behavior and its consequences. So it's also coming to that consciousness. So when this awareness increases, what naturally happens is that you become more convinced of the need to make a change in your life. Because by the time you start to take an assessment of your life, you will see where, there have been reoccurring limits, or there have been limitations or challenges that you have faced that are reoccurring. And all you need to do is the reoccurring of those sequences are symptoms. Or they are the symptoms of a key thing, okay, is to deal with the roots. And that's what one of the things discipline helps you to do. Discipline, it's easier for you to strengthen your discipline when, you make the effort to act according to the decision you make, okay? So do so regardless of laziness, and, you see, lack of discipline, hey, lack of discipline has brought kings down. When we lack discipline, it's caused us to just live life carelessly. So I have a few suggestions, and I'll say, look, I don't want to run away from always guiding, particularly when it comes to even this critical matter. So I have a few points, and I'm sure Colonel Elio will give us more insights. It helps you. So you must think and consider the consequences of reaction before you act. That has been a time time-tested formula, all right, to remain disciplined. Before you take a decision, think. Before you take a decision, think. Think, think. Another thing is that we all have the propensity to get angry. All right. So we're told to be disciplined or to guard against taking decisions whilst we're angry. So whilst you're angry, please limit the kind of decisions you want to take. When you set small goals and plans that you can carry out during the day, stick with them. So that's why when you create your plans, also create those ones that you can, I don't know if anybody has watched that video, we dropped it in the group, the getting things done. And one of the things he said that when you prioritize, when you itemize your list, you see that there's some things you can do under 2 minutes. Do them immediately. Okay? So another thing is that pay attention to what you're doing. It's like you must be present. You see, have you not noticed that by the time you start to apply yourself to something, or even if you're watching a movie and you're disciplined about that movie, you're able to see the storyline. Imagine the story about Betty Graham, the lady that invented Tipex. It was applying her mind to be present at the place of her work by being disciplined that gave her the spark that finally gave birth to Tipex. All right, discipline. So discipline also. How do you strengthen it? Is that sometimes just try to get out of your comfort zone. So usually there was a time, and I know a lot of people hear these stories. Men that go to work and all of that back in those days, they had the propensity to come back home, sit on the chair, and start to play with the control. You know that description can be limiting. All right. So you need to also be disciplined to reverse that trend. You don't just come down and sit down and do something different, because you see what has happened is that and this is for men who I wish. Okay, I'll take this. If the men are willing, the men in this house are willing, we're able to take a session, just for men, so that, and if you have any man that that session will help. You see, men are the most endangered species, but I will not talk about that anymore for now. If the men are interested, the men in the house, we could have a session, a session that deals with helping you deal with some of these things that limit you, all right, from fully manifesting and playing your role, and to effectively take charge. Because that thing, this thing I just said is a circle, and go and watch it. If you are currently one of those guys that you come back home, the first thing you do is go and sit on the couch and you're waiting for food to come to you, and you're playing with the remote control or flipping through channels. Do you know that's like, you see those, that's a pattern, but we know that pattern leads to or manifests somehow into what you would probably call a curse. Oh, God. Kai, do you know how certain actions are recurring in our lives because we have failed to stop it where it ought to be nipped in the bud? That's very deep. And I don't know why I'm going down line today. You see that attitude there, that you get back home, you flip, and I'm talking to generally now. Can you start to examine yourself today and say, what are those things that has been there? Somehow those actions have been there before you were born. In fact, they joke about it. Oh, women like this, or men you see, those are the things that have limited you from fully manifesting. Can you start to itemize some of those things that you are practicing? Come to a consciousness and be deliberate as to plans of how you want to stop it. And how do you stop it? So for the guy, using that example only, that has been flipping, he will not come back home and now go and sit on that chair. Do you understand what I'm saying? He will have to do something differently. Maybe go on the table, all right, instead of sitting on that chair, go on the table and pick up maybe his journal and write something. You see, the moment you start, like I said, the brain does not know beyond friction and reality. Once you start that journey, the brain starts to walk along those lines. So that after some time, when you don't do those things, you'll be discomforted. Okay, so we have created patterns in our life. Discipline, we have been disciplined enough to create patterns in our lives. So we must be disciplined to reverse these patterns, because the patterns have consequences. And what happens is that we only deal with the root cause, and we only deal with the symptoms, and we don't deal with the root cause. So it's when we see those symptoms, and then we think that, oh, this is reoccurring. This is, we give it names. We even go around in circle and not realizing that, hey, it's the recurring pattern. Imagine if you become obese, as the case may be, it's a pattern. You have not been disciplined to reject, apart from those that have medical discomfort and all that. You have not been disciplined enough to resist that thing. So over time, you've got yourself, and guess what? There's a consequence. This thing called discipline, I just, and I have to shut down now. So look, guys, I commit you to the hands of God and your maker, your creator, all right? So that he would engrace you with the ability to be disciplined, that this discipline will flow through you, all right? And this is a conscious effort. So I can imagine you are crafting your affirmation today. One of the things you want to introduce is that I am disciplined. I'm disciplined enough to accomplish all my goals. I am disciplined. I'm disciplined enough to see the enviable future that I desire. I'm disciplined. I'm disciplined to cross my bridge from just dreams, all right, to success. You see, I'm disciplined enough to attract the kind of wealth that I want. I'm disciplined to reverse the trends that have been recurring in my life. I'm disciplined to change my situation. Look, if your affirmations must reflect the pain points you want to deal with. Let it so you know the things you need to be disciplined about. I'm disciplined enough to apply for that job as many times as possible. And once applying, I'll be disciplined to meet the criteria for that job. I'll be disciplined to send that proposal until the point where it becomes frustrating for the people well enough to be able to accept that proposal. You don't get it. There was some instance about some woman, and I'm going on another level now, I'll shut down with a woman. That woman, like, she was insistent now. She will knock on the king's place. The doctor, I need help. It got to a stage. The king said, look, can we solve that woman's problem? Can she stop disturbing us? Hey, those are principles. Discipline. And it's tied to this thing called CFI quotient. Consistency, showing up. All right, frequency, and then intensity, increasing the intensity of how you show up. Guys, look, I don't know how to say it. I'm being disciplined by keeping to the time frame, all right? And so I have to get out of your faces now. And I know you've been blessed. So craft your affirmations. Begin to write it down now and say, what are you going to be disciplined about? Identify those limiting beliefs, those things that have hindered you, those things that are reoccurring in your life, those patterns, and go and break it. Break those chains. Hey, it takes discipline. All right, guys, I need to go now. Please just begin to say something. Just say something as you sign out. We need to leave now. Just say something, that I'm going to be disciplined. Just begin to say that. Unmute yourself and just say something and sign out. Please, let's get out of here. Unmute yourself and just say,
be disciplined.
I'm going to be disciplined.
I'll be disciplined to achieve my goals.
Yes,
I will be disciplined.
I'm disciplined enough to achieve my goals.
Yes, discipline enough to achieve my goals. I'll see you
I
guys
am-
later this evening.
I am disciplined to attend no matter the challenges I'm going through.
Correct. I'm disciplined to attend no matter the challenges. Yes. Go
I'm
ahead.
disciplined. I'm consistent in all that I do.
Correct. This is my concern, all that I do. Yes.
I am disciplined and will stay on task with everything I have set my heart to do.
That's it. Staying true on the task to do and purpose to do of his good pleasure. Yes. Yeah, just say it. Even though your network is off, just say it. The elements, will conspire to favor you and answer you. Move on. Please just say it. I'm getting out of your faces now. I wish you a great day. Yes. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go get some job done and please
overcome all my challenges.
Yes.
Discipline.
Yes.